Something I'm discovering more and more is just how free I am. I've realized that I'm playing the role that society has put upon me, that I've grown up learning. I grew up in a traumatic and neglectful childhood, and that past, just like everyone's past, conditioned me to believe certain things about myself and certain things about society. And I'm sure that your past, your gender, your religion, your ethnicity, your socioeconomic standards, all of that sort of stuff will impact how you think and act in the world. But that's gone. The only thing that exists truly is right now. We are far more free than what we think we are. We can choose to take action. We can choose to do, a lot of the time, whatever we like. Yes, they will have consequences. Yes, there'll be consequences of my action. If I choose not to go to work, I don't get as much money. I'll have to find other jobs. I might get fired. If I choose to walk to the gym as opposed to driving, it'll take me a lot longer, right? But I am free to do so. There's this feeling, this inner drive that we must produce, that we must work, that we must do X, Y, Z. Our family expects it, society expects it, work expects it. But what about what we truly want? How often do we sit there and think, okay, what do I want? What do I actually feel? What can I experiment and play with? In my life, this has been highlighted in two aspects: writing and in my martial arts. So I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this is like a ground-based grappling system. You get the person on the ground, you hold them there, and you try and submit them, make them tap out. There's a particular way that Jiu-Jitsu is done, and it feels very easy to fall into that routine, into that rhythm, into that mode. But how I do Jiu-Jitsu will be different to that exact model, right? There's obviously different fundamentals that you need to follow to be actually combat effective. But how I instill those fundamentals, how I move my body, is completely unique to me. So what I realized was that I can experiment and play and sort of do what I like. There's no, what's the worst that happens? When I'm training, someone beats me, I tap, I learn. But if I try and be someone that I'm not, if I try and do something that I'm not, I won't be as combat effective. I won't be as good. I won't enjoy myself in that martial art. The same thing's true for my writing. There's these general expectations. When you start writing, it's like, well, look at all of these good authors, and they all give you different advice and all that sort of stuff. And yes, there's fundamentals for telling a story. There's fundamentals for expressing yourself. And you should obviously go down those paths. But if I was to do that, then I'd be a carbon copy, a stereotype. My writing would be flat. I need to play and have fun and experiment. I can write whatever I like, however I like. There's no restrictions. No one's stopping me other than the thoughts of my past or those expectations or those societal pressures or whatever's going on. So I'm trying to apply this to my life, and the thing that's helping to free up this process, for me to be aware of my mental blocks, primarily comes down to meditation and contemplation. Every day I sit in silence and let my brain process. And I'm starting to highlight where I've got these blocks. I've talked about it in the past, but I grew up poor. I moved out of home at 15. I lived off charity. I lived off government support and part-time work. So I've got these blocks to money, in the sense that in the past I felt that I wasn't worthy, or that I didn't deserve it, or that I would say no, or that all of these ridiculous sort of things that have built up that were impacting how I would act. For example, I felt so poor and so sort of down and shamed on myself that I wouldn't park my car under the undercover areas at supermarkets or at shopping centers. I didn't feel worthy of the undercover parking. Now, this is just a small example, and it's ridiculous even speaking it out loud. But I discovered that, okay, that's just a trap from my past. I'm actually free to park wherever I like. Obviously. Now, once again, it's ridiculous to say it out loud, and you'll be like, well, why would you think that? But I guarantee you've got the same level of ridiculousness happening in your mind. We've got to start to free our minds. We've got to start to do the meditation practice, to contemplate on this, and to realize as well, what from our past is holding us back. A couple of quick ones. As a teacher, kids would always come to me and go, well, I'm going to be an accountant or a doctor or an engineer. And it's the cliche, but you ask them, it's like, do you want to do that, or do your parents want you to do that? Because I guarantee you, if it's not you, you're going to hate your life. You're going to hate what job you're doing. Something like 80 to 90% of people don't like what they're doing. And most likely it's because they went down a path that they were pushed into. I know personally I was pushed into going to university, and I was further pushed away from certain topics. And I really, truly wish that I had been more aware of myself to choose different subjects so I could have studied the areas that were more appealing to me. Obviously, I can't go back, and there's no point, ruminating on the past. But I would have had a much better time had I have thought to myself, it's like, do I want this, or do other people want this for me? What do I want? Because ultimately, what's the point of money unless you're happy? Yeah, I could be on triple the income, but hating my life. I could follow the societal expectations of my culture and go down certain paths. Would that be ideal? I have a lot of, not arguments, but a bit of back and forth with my grandma. She's a ethnic bubba. She's quite old. She's got the traditional approach of you get a job, they support you, and you stay with them forever. And then you retire off them. Now, it's hard for me to explain to her what the realities of work life is now, but it's even further hard to explain that me personally, with my mental state, I can't work full time. It would literally kill me. But I have to do a variety of different jobs, online work, in-person work, etc., etc. But in order to deprogram that conditioning from her and from the rest of my family and society, I've had to really think about it. It's like, okay, what works for me as a person? I'll take that advice because, if I could do that work mentally, that would be great. It'd be great to not have to worry about a whole variety of things and be able to work at one place and do the traditional approach to work, but I just can't do it. And in the past I've tried and my mental health just deteriorated. The point I'm trying to make with this video is that you are far more free than you think you are. Meditate, contemplate, and consider making changes to best suit your life.